Hello, welcome back to another video on Time Gaming. And in today's video, we're going to be ranking all FNAF games based on how much RNG they have. And yes, I'm including the later games too. So, without further ado, let's begin the video. Now, we all know that the later FNAF games don't have what's technically RNG, so they're going to have to edit the term of RNG a little bit for this tier list to work. So basically, of course, we're going to include the original RNG, like, from the first 4 FNAF games, but we're also going to include anything that's chance-based. So basically, anything that's, like, for example, Amixius spawns from Ruin, animatronic AIs from Security Breach, etc., etc., etc. So, basically, anything that's chance-based with the gameplay mechanics is going to count as RNG. We're not going to count things like lag or stuff like that as RNG, because that's not related to the gameplay mechanics, that's just related to the device. So, without further ado, let's begin with the tier list. So, before we start this tier list, we're going to take a look at all of the rankings on this tier list. So first of all, we have maximum RNG or S rank tier at the top. Then we have extremely RNG based or A tier. Then we have highly RNG based or B tier. Then we have somewhat RNG based or C tier. Then we have mildly RNG based or D tier. Minimal RNG or E tier. No RNG whatsoever or F tier, and then unsure. Don't worry, none of them are going to permanently stay in unsure. It's just that ones that are unsure I'll come back to give like a better answer. So without further ado, let's start ranking the FNAF games based on how RNG based they are. Or chance based. You could also use the name chance based for this. So let's start with FNAF 1. The game that started the FNAF franchise. If my words are running together, I'm sorry, I've done so many recording attempts of this already. And the noise background is super annoying. But anyways, let's continue. While FNAF 1 might not be the most RNG-based game in the franchise, it definitely has some of its own RNG. So if you know anything about how the animatronics work in the first 4 games, then you'll know that the animatronics in FNAF 1 work basically on an AI system where their AI value is out of 20. I'm going to give a simplified explanation of how these animatronics work. So basically, they roll a number out of 20. If the number is they roll a number from 1 to 20. If the number is If the number is equal to or less than their AI value, then the animatronic will move. If it's greater than their AI value, the animatronic will not move. And this kinda really helps the RNG. But yeah, that's basically oversimplified how the animatronics work. So yeah, and that's kind of the way it works in the first 4 games. So yeah, yeah. So, although it may not be the most RNG-based game in the franchise, it's still pretty RNG-based. So I guess for now, I'll put it in B tier, and then we might change it later. The next FNAF game in the FNAF franchise is FNAF 2, which is way more RNG-based than the original game. There's only one animatronic in the entire game that doesn't seem to be based on RNG, and that is the puppet. Every other character in this game works on some form of RNG. Withered Foxy, the character with the least amount of RNG other than the puppet, still has his classic AI system. And then there's the toy animatronics and other withered animatronics. Toy Bonnie is easily the most RNG-based character. It's either Toy Bonnie or Balloon Boy that's the most RNG-based character in FNAF 2. Pretty much everything for them is RNG based from when they attack you to when they leave the vent to when they move. Just about everything about these animatronics is RNG based. I don't think it deserves S because of the puppet, but just about everything else in the game is RNG based. So I guess we'll put it in A tier for now, and then we might change it later. I'm not 100% sure. Another even more RNG based game is FNAF 3. So for FNAF 3, just about everything is RNG based. Like every single animatronic, even the secret animatronics, are RNG based. The mini games, though they are RNG based, I personally don't think that the mini games really count, since they are, after all, mini games. But yeah, Spring Traps. Basically, everything about Spring Trap is RNG based, except for being whether or not he's blocked by event snares. Phantoms are pretty much all RNG based. Well, at least when they spawn is RNG based. Yeah, just about everything about FNAF 3 is RNG based. So yeah. So FNAF 3 I think easily deserves S tier. I don't know, we could potentially move down to A tier later. I'm not 100% sure. For right now, I think FNAF 3 belongs in the S tier. For now, at least. And the next FNAF game we have is FNAF 4. So FNAF 4 is another pretty RNG based game. Just like the previous games in its previous installments, FNAF 4 is a pretty RNG based game, which I guess makes sense since it's still technically called Five Nights at Freddy's without anything after it except for, of course, a number. But yeah. So FNAF 4, I don't really know what to say about FNAF 4. I mean, it is pretty it's not like super RNG based, but it's not like, not hardly any RNG, so I guess we'll put it, I think it is pretty RNG based though, so we'll put it here. Actually, I might put it above FNAF 2, I'm not sure yet, but for now I think FNAF 4 belongs in A tier. Now for FNAF World. So FNAF World is an interesting case for some people, but in my opinion, I think FNAF FNAF World is a very chance-based game. I mean, think about it. It is, the characters actually spawn is very random, and what characters spawn is very random. So you could have a very, very easy selection, like the selection of one of the easiest characters in the game, or you could have a very, very hard selection of characters. So, although it is somewhat based on the way, somewhat based on where you are and stuff like that, but it's still pretty RNG based or chance based if you want to call it that. So I think it deserves A tier. I think bottom of A tier is good for FNAF World. Now for a sister location. If you're talking about the base game sister location, then base sister location I think deserves E. But we're not going to be ranking sister location based on the base game. We're going to be ranking it based on the custom night DLC. So the custom night DLC, it's one of the first, the custom night DLC is one of the first, office FNAF games that isn't extremely RNG based, but it does still have its fair share of RNG. For example, Funtime Foxy does have some RNG. I guess the spawns have some RNG, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure the sister location custom night is the least RNG based office FNAF game, but it still has it still has its fair share of RNG. So I think for that we'll put it sister location custom night in C tier for now. We might move it down later, I'm not sure. Now, what do you think is the most RNG based or chance based game in the FNAF franchise? Some of you might say FNAF 2, some of you might say FNAF 3, and some of you might even say FNAF World or 5 Laps at Freddy's. But if you say any of those answers, you would be wrong. The most RNG based game in the entire FNAF franchise is Pizzeria Simulator. The animatronics are 100% RNG based in this game, the animatronics. In the office sector, basically their movement is completely random, pretty much. It's of course it's based on where they are, but it's completely random. It's completely random whether they hear you or not. Even the salvage sector does have its own amount of randomness. Even some of the mini games are RNG based or chance based, thanks to spawns and stuff like that. I think the only major arcade, one of the only major arcade game that I can think of that isn't of course with Helpy, the only major non-chance based minigame without, Helpy whatever, I don't know how to say arcade game, I guess you could say, it is Fruity Maze. My words are running together. I apologize for my words running together. But anyways, yeah, Pizzeria Simulator is easily the most RNG based game in the entire FNAF franchise. Phew, that was a lot. Now for Ultimate Custom Night. For Ultimate Custom Night, some characters, like Night Marion, are not RNG based whatsoever. Well, actually, they are somewhat RNG. For some characters, how do I put it? Some characters, they aren't, actually, know what? I'm kind of wrong. Yeah, Ultimate Custom Night does have a good share fair of RNG. Actually, scratch that, it has a lot of RNG. I think the only Ultimate Custom Night character that I can pull off the top of my head that doesn't have RNG is Phantom Freddy. And that's not a lot of options. So yeah. Ultimate Custom Night, I don't think it deserves S tier. It does definitely deserve A tier though. Alright, I'm gonna move it to the top of A tier. Because it's not quite S tier, but it's definitely having a lot of RNG. Okay, FNAF Help Wanted. Now, personally, I haven't seen the entire gameplay of FNAF Help Wanted, so I guess I can't give it 100% fair rating of Help Wanted, but if I know anything about the animatronic AIs, I guess I probably could. I guess I'll probably say C. Because Help Wanted, I think based on the animatronic AIs I've seen, it's not very RNG based. I mean, it's somewhat RNG based. I might put it above Sys Location Custom Night, because it is somewhat chance based, but it's not nearly as chance based as the earlier FNAF games. So yeah, I think for Help Wanted, I guess we'll give it a C. Special Delivery. Don't even get me started. Actually, you know what? Special Delivery might be the most RNG based game in the FNAF franchise. Because literally the spawns are completely random. Based on what I've seen, Pizzeria. The reason why I said Pizzeria Sim was the most RNG based game earlier is because the only one I know with absolute certainty is the super high up there. Like of the ones I seen the entire gameplay or whatever. Because newer FNAF games, I haven't had time to sit down and watch the entire gameplay and also all the entire gameplay. Even for me, a person who likes doing all kinds of different stuff, even if you have a person with entertaining commentary like Markiplier, eventually it'll start getting boring watching the gameplay. So even if it's a game I love like Security Breach, watching the gameplay will eventually get boring. But yeah, and also I can't afford the later FNAF games, and also I don't even know if my computer would run them. So yeah. Freddy in Space 2, these games are all unsure, because I'm just going to have to throw a guess at them, because I don't know how they work, so for now I'll just throw them all unsure. Security Breach. So, Security Breach does have its animatronic AIs, some of which are very chance-based, especially Roxy. I don't know what they did with Roxy, but Roxy's AI was absolutely nerfed. Or, if I'm using that term correctly, I don't. Okay, you know what? Forget it. Let me rephrase that. But yeah, Roxy's AI. Yeah, they messed her AI up really bad. She's based on how her animatronic gameplay AI works. She's the stupidest animatronic. You can run away from her, jump into a hiding spot with her chasing you, and she literally won't spot you. You can turn a corner and she'll lose you really fast. But yeah, anyways, Security Breach. I don't think it's high enough. I think the animatronic spawns, I guess, are somewhat RNG based. I don't know. I think Security Breach goes in D tier. I don't know for sure, but I think it goes in D tier. Ruin. Now, if it were Ruin, if Ruin didn't have MXCS, Ruin would easily go in E tier because I mean, Ruin has a very linear gameplay experience. It's part of the reason why I prefer Security Breach to Ruin, even though I like the Ruin animatronic designs. I still prefer Security Breach because Ruin is a very linear gameplay experience, and also ever since Ruin, the Mimic has been basically the focal point, except for Help 1 and 2. At least Help 1 and 2 got a little bit more of other characters in the spotlight, but now it looks like the Mimic, they're trying to force the Mimic into the spotlight, which I personally don't like. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think the Mimic is a cool character, but I don't think it deserves the spotlight. I mean, there are other characters that, in my opinion, deserve the spotlight way more than the Mimic does, because the Mimic was literally like just introduced, like in 2023, I think. It was either 2023 or 2022 with Tales from the Pizzaplex novels. I'm not sure when the Tales from the Pizzaplex novels introduced the Mimic, but I'm not sure if Ruin introduced it first or if the Tales from the Pizzaplex novels introduced it first. But yeah, the Mimic is a very new introduction to the franchise, and they're already trying to force it into the position of the #1 villain, which I don't like. I mean, I think it should be more gradual, and you should at least like let other characters. You should at least see their demise. Like for example, Burn Trap. You just saw him in one non-canon ending in Security Breach, and then we never saw him again. That was that was completely unfair. I mean, at least give him a proper ending if you're going to kill him off that fast. At least give him some sort of proper ending. But no, Steel and Scott can't even do that because they don't care about their fan base. They just care about money. But anyways, enough about me blabbering on how bad they are doing their job. But the thing, personally, thinks. However, there is one thing that's kind of random in Ruin, and that is MXCS. MXCS seems to be the only chance-based character in the entire game because it basically spawns at random once you have the Vanny mask on for a certain amount of time. It could spawn right in front of you, or it could spawn well over your path. So, yeah, MXCS is pretty chance-based, and just for MXCS and the way he spawns animatronics randomly, B tier. This is definitely the most chance-based of the later games in the franchise, in my personal opinion. Also, I'm going to move Help Wanted down to D tier. Okay. Help Wanted 2. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move Help Wanted down to E tier. Because I don't really know what I'm doing. I think I'm going to do some rearranging of the tier list. There, I think that's good. There we go. There we go. There we go. I think that's good. Now, Help Wanted 2. And like I said, I haven't seen the entirety of Help Wanted 2 yet. So my best guess is it's probably about the same level of Help Wanted. So, guess we'll throw it there. Okay, you know what? Forget it. I'm putting Ruin back up here. Now 5 Laps at Freddy's. 5 Laps at Freddy's does have some RNG, but it's definitely not as bad as some FNAF games. But actually, the characters do seem to they don't even seem to have an AI. Like they seem to be like, you know, like super good or whatever. I don't even know. They might be super RNG based. I don't know. So I guess for now, throw it in unsure. Then throw a guess later. Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit. Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit is the only game that I can, with absolute certainty, well, not absolute, but any degree of certainty say is not chance-based at all. It doesn't seem to have anything chance-based about it at all whatsoever. Basically everything in this game is skill-based. That's one of the things I like about it. That's one of the things that are pretty good about Into the Pit. There's pretty much nothing chance-based. I haven't seen the entirety of Into the Pit, so I guess I can't, 100% grade it for certain, but, based on what I do know about the Into the Pit and what I have seen about Into the Pit, there's like no chance-based gameplay mechanics whatsoever. Like everything it's pretty linear, and everything that does require you to interact is all skill-based. So, Into the Pit is the only game that I can, with any degree of certainty, say is not chance-based at all in terms of gameplay mechanics. Okay, now for the unsure games. We're gonna list them. They're gonna move FNAF 3 down here. Wait a minute. Wait. UCN. Let's see. Freddy in Space 2. I don't know, because it doesn't seem like that there's like custom enemies. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'll just throw this into here. And then I'm guessing this is the same because I haven't actually seen Freddy in Space 3 Chicken Space. I don't know anything about it like whatsoever other than its title, so. And Security Breach Furious Rage, I actually have played that one. I have played Freddy in Space 2 and Security Breach Furious Rage. I actually beat Security Breach Furious Rage, or at least the normal mode. And it seems to be somewhat, it seems to be somewhat RNG based. So, I don't know. And 5 laps at Freddy's. I don't know for sure, I think mild. Maybe even compared to some other FNAF games, they're even minimal. But anyways, that is my ranking of all the FNAF games based on RNG. So for maximum RNG or S tier, we have Special Delivery and Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. For extremely RNG based or A tier, we have actually we might move this up back to S tier. FNAF 3 is also an S tier. For extremely RNG based or A tier, we have Ultimate Custom Night and FNAF 2. For highly RNG based or B tier, we have FNAF 4, FNAF World, FNAF 1, and FNAF Security Breach Ruin. For somewhat RNG based or C tier, we have Help 1 and 2, and Security Breach Furious Rage. For mildly RNG based or D tier, we have Sister Location, specifically the Sister Location Custom Night, and FNAF Security Breach. For minimal RNG, we have 5 laps at Freddy's, Freddy in Space 2, Freddy in Space 3, Chicken Space, and for no RNG whatsoever, or F tier, we have Into the Pit. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, please go to like, and as always, subscribe. It really helps. Also, also helps watching another video, because I do need things like watch time, retention, returning viewers, etc. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye-bye for now.